What's your plan when you have no plan? You might be a little confused as to what that question means, but I find it very simple. Your plan when you have no plan is pretty much everything you do on autopilot already. It's your habits, it's your beliefs, it's your values, it's the actions that you go to most often. That's your plan. That's your plan when you don't have another plan. So when someone does something around you, maybe to you, for you, that's unexpected, how do you react? Where do you go to? When you get surprised and go into a pseudo state of stress, it's a new situation around you altogether, how do you react? I learned recently that when something like that happens to me, I become very agreeable. I guess what I choose is to avoid conflict, avoid any escalation, while I'm trying to gather my thoughts, kind of collect myself. Are you the same way? Do you do that too? Maybe you go the other way and you become very confrontational. You fight your way to safety or to comfort, all in the name of, getting out of a state of stress, out of a state of surprise. I'm not exactly mad that I become so agreeable in that state, but it did cause me a little bit of turmoil recently. When I discovered it, I realized that by being so agreeable, I wasn't giving myself the chance to really think for myself, think about what I wanted, think about what I was feeling. I had to take a moment by myself after the fact and be like, oh wait, you know what? This is what I really should have said, what I really should have done. This is how I really should have reacted. So again, I ask, what's your plan for when you have no plan? You have two options here, when you're thinking about this question. You can either try to anticipate everything that's going to happen and make a plan for it. Maybe you can make some categories and say, when I feel X, I will do Y, or when I see Z, I will do W, right? You could start filling in the blanks, but you'll find that no matter how many things you prepare for, there will always be something unexpected that happens. Eventually, you may be able to plan for everything within the next few days, few months, few years. Somehow, if that's possible, I would applaud you, maybe give you a lottery ticket or something. But chances are something will surprise you. So the second option is working on who you are, subconsciously, working on who you are every day. I had a friend recently, we were talking about relationships, and I was asking about his ideal relationship and what it would be like, what he would be like, what he would feel, what he would experience. And he told me a bunch of stuff. Some of those stuff I completely understood, and some of them I looked at it and said, hey, you know what? If you want to become that way in a relationship, it's not going to happen because of the relationship. It would have to happen because it's who you are. I used to always say, if you want to see what you'll be like in a relationship, look at how you are now and magnify it by 10. Magnify it by 100. Because if you think someone has changed when they got into it, like when they got into the relationship, they probably have. And eventually, they will change back to what they're used to, what their standards are for themselves, what their values and beliefs truly are. I hear a lot of cases, a lot of stories of people saying, I don't know what happened, he just changed overnight. We've been together for years, and all of a sudden it's like he's this different person. What I really see in those moments is he didn't change overnight. He changed back into who he was. Maybe he took off his mask that he was hiding, or maybe she stopped playing the part of whoever she thought she needed to be to keep her partner. If you want to act a certain way, you don't need to wait until a relationship. Just start being that way. If you want to be more honest about your emotions in a relationship, you could start by being more honest about your emotions now. There's so many things that we can choose to do differently. And many of them, simply enough, can be changed right now. It doesn't take a lot. It may take time, and it may take effort, but it's not impossible. And that's why when I look at myself and I look at, what my plan is when I have no plan, that's the version of me that's very real, very authentic, very reactive. And we will find moments in our life that we will have to react. So I have to decide now, if I want to react a different way, I need to change who I am. I need to change how I think. And that's easier said than done. Again, not impossible. And I get to choose who I'll become. I'll get to choose what my plan is. So that in the future, when I do have to react, it's in a way that truly does help me and not hurt me. That's all for today. Until next time, just remember to always fill up with the love. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. I love you.